Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. Yesterday, a report came out that Batista was backstage at WWE's Royal Rumble event in Miami, where Triple H ended up winning the championship. For the past year, maybe 2 years, Batista has kept his name in the Wrestling Rumors page. Basically, after WrestleMania 30, he wrestled 2 matches as a part of Evolution, and then basically walked away from WWE. And has been very vocal of the reasons why, he didn't like his last run with WWE was, basically they brought him in, they promised him one thing, and then when it came down to it, they switched it around, and they went with Daniel Bryan. You cannot doubt WWE for what they did with Batista. Yeah, they brought him in, they promised him they were going to be a big, huge, killer babyface, but when it came down to it, a lot of times it's debated, but Vince McMahon gave the fans what they wanted. Daniel Bryan at that point was the guy that people really were behind, and I'm sure that, even though Daniel Bryan ended up getting injured shortly after WrestleMania when he won the championship, he wrestled at Breaking Ground, no, not Breaking Ground, at Extreme Rules in that fire match against Kane, but then wasn't able to make the next show, which was Payback. And then, it took him a whole, basically almost a year to get ready to come back for the Royal Rumble the next year, wrestle at WrestleMania, and then get injured again. Maybe you can say that, over time, WWE didn't make as much money with Daniel Bryan as maybe they would have made with Batista if they would have kept this guy happy. Definitely Batista was going to have to leave, shortly after WrestleMania 30. But, would he have come back for SummerSlam if they would have been more favorable to him and gave him the championship and let him have that big WrestleMania moment that people would have been looking forward to? Definitely when you think about the booking from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania 31, going with the plans of Roman Reigns, definitely at the end, WWE was able to deliver with Seth Rollins having to cash in and Roman Reigns never winning the championship. But who knows, what would have happened if you think about all the people that canceled their WrestleMania 31 plans. It didn't really hurt WWE at the end of days. I know a lot of my friends ended up not going to WrestleMania because they just didn't think the card was going to be that good. But when you look at Levi's Stadium, WWE didn't miss a bit. Maybe like the fans that had bought tickets on the pre-sales and things like that, they sold their tickets and maybe they sold them secondhand and lost a little bit of money themselves. WWE didn't miss out on anything. So I don't think, WrestleMania 30 would have been a boo fest if, it was Undertaker versus Batista. Definitely you look at, the streak being broken, that probably wouldn't have happened if it was, I think I just said Undertaker versus Batista, but if it was Orton versus Batista there, but, definitely Batista, he's done Jericho's podcast and he's done a few different interviews. He doesn't really like creative. He doesn't really like the PG era of wrestling. He says that if you go to Vince McMahon and you really ask if you can hit somebody in the balls, he'll let you do it. It's almost like with the NWO and Kevin Sullivan and the cops drawing their guns. Kevin Sullivan as a, WCW, employee, was saying like, maybe it's not the best that the cops pull their guns, but he's like nodding the whole time as he's saying it, basically telling the guns to be drawn by the cops on Nitro. Basically like, and then you can go to the WCW people with the practices, standards and practices or whatever that are called, and be like, hey, they just did it on their own. I didn't tell them to do it. I told them not to do it, and basically save his own ass at that time. But I don't know. Obviously the story is that Vince pitched something to Batista. Batista didn't like it. He says that he's open to being at WrestleMania 32. It says making an appearance, so I don't know if that means, just doing a skit or doing something, not being physical. But I don't know how you bring Batista back right now and bring him into WrestleMania feuds. Honestly, if I'm doing anything with Batista, I want to see Batista versus Brock. But, if you're Batista and you're looking at, growing your brand as a movie star, I know that wrestling's fake, but obviously I think that Batista's going to be wanting to look to win. So, if I'm Vince, let Batista win, damn it.